green and slimy with googly eyes. Googly eyes and little thingies that go up in the air with round bits on the end. Antennae. Yeah, with a spaceship.
I don't believe in aliens, really. I don't believe in strange people and strange creatures and strange anything, because God wouldn't create anything that's not perfect and that's abnormal and strange.
No, I don't believe there's alien life on this planet. I believe there's something, but
Don't know
what we don't know. But I believe there's something that we've not been told about that.
What do you mean if aliens existed? Aliens do exist. Everybody knows aliens exist.
I think if aliens existed, I would think they're about that small. Some of them, these are the good ones. That small, and they have quite a big head, and they're very good at sums, and they have small legs and arms.
I've no idea what aliens would look like. They could look like anything. There might just be a ball of gas, or an idea, or a particular coloured light.
The whole conspiracy thing about aliens is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, why on earth would they visit us to fly around in some farmer's back garden in the back end and beyond in Suffolk to just bugger off again? It just doesn't make sense whatsoever. And the whole thing about UFOs in the sky is just beyond me.
Well, what is a UFO?
You know what a UFO is?
What does it stand for?
I can't remember. Something. What is it?
An unidentified flying object? No, I've never seen one of those. I don't even know what one is.
So anything that you don't identify that flies past you is a UFO, isn't it? So basically, if it's a bird that you don't recognise, what's that? You get the book out, you can't identify it. That was a UFO, wasn't it?
No, you're being silly.
I've seen a UFO at a time when UFOs were being sighted in Lancashire. People were saying they had flying saucers going over the rooftops in a suburb of Bolton. And one news reporter claimed to have taken a photograph, but whether it was a genuine photo is another thing.
I came beginning of May in 1984 because it's a beautiful planet. You can see it from quite far. It looks very attractive.
It's not as striking, the difference that people expect when they ask, how different is it than home? I mean, you hate to lapse into this whole stereotype about how the English people are who live around me.
We have radionic equipment, which we call spiritual energy radiators, which have been in operation now for over 30 years. Every unselfish action is potentized by spiritual energy radiators.
You have here like shopping centers, which are like community centers nowadays. Yeah. You have people on Saturday take their children to shopping center, like probably that's one of the elements of care and community programs they have now. They develop, strong enough medication so they can keep you quiet and you can just walk around and look at the bright, shiny things.
Yeah.
Makes you happy.
I mean, they make these models of aliens. I mean, how can they make models of aliens when they've never ever seen aliens? You know what I mean? Is that is that a fuss?
Yeah,
but is it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're allowed to have that imagination, aren't you?
Yeah, but I mean, how can they mould an alien when they've not seen an alien?
Well, if somebody asks you what's an alien like...
Well, I couldn't tell them because I don't know, because I've never seen one.
If they say, right, what do you think it looks like?
Well, again, I wouldn't be able to tell you because I don't know.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have a go at saying, I think they might look like this, or...
Well, they could be 2 foot tall.
Well, I think a lot of the portrayal of aliens comes from people who say they've seen aliens or they've been beamed up by aliens. Some of these stories people come out with.
you think they are stories, or do you think they're true?
There's no doubt in my mind that these people have had an experience.
No, I think that's nonsense, to be honest. I think people have either had too much to drink or they've just got very imaginative imaginations.
I reckon they've been on some sort of
wacky-backy
type stuff, I reckon, if they're saying they've been abducted by it. So
they glow in the dark, like, you know.
The first few months in this country, I had to learn that you do not kiss everybody to say hello. And I did with the postman. I opened the door, there was the postman, I gave him a kiss on his cheek twice or whatever. And he was absolutely shocked.
I've loved the weather here. And I know that sounds crazy because everyone always complains about the weather here. Oh, it's very temperate. Living in the city, you hardly ever have a freeze. And when you do have snow, it's pretty and it melts when it hits the ground, which is ideal.
Yeah, I reckon there's quite a few of them roaming around the planet at the moment. And
Well, I think just the opposite. To be honest, I don't think at this particular time aliens do not exist. Until someone comes up with the proof that they are existing.
There's a lot of proof that they exist on other planets, isn't there?
You know, it may not be kind of like we might be looking at sort of, looking at things in other dimensions, other planes. It doesn't have to be travelling through long distances, things like the elves and the fairies.
Wacky people. Wacky people. Real strange.
This is home, everything is a bit upside down, but that's the way it is.
But it's becoming level.
I've learned that it's very important to be polite.
Yes.
You have to remember to say certain amount of thank yous and sorries. You have to say sorry to people you shouldn't really say. You walk on the street and there's a person walking in front of you.
Yes.
And suddenly those two people perform a dance saying sorry, and you don't know which way to move.
Yes.
I think that was something which I felt a bit bemused by that.
Yes. Mainly, I just watched Jeremy Paxman.
Now, as to whether they visited us or not, recently, I couldn't tell you. They might have. Who's to say they ain't here now?
My theory is we came from another planet.
It's just pants. I don't believe in it.
No, because it's the animals, they don't talk
These
about
are
that.
because we haven't got much time left. Come on, I'm watching you. Half an hour's gone, you haven't done nothing.
I think it's good to work because you get dignity from it, and I've done all kinds. I've worked in a hotel. I worked in this hotel in Teignmouth, and I'd be there at night, and I'd work on the desk, I'd help in the kitchen, but I also clean toilets. And why not? I mean, I like different roles, and it just means I can channel the madness in different areas,
I really look forward to going to work because I really enjoy working with people that have got difficulties and struggles, and I feel like I can make a difference.
I think just on a personal level, yeah, I do prefer provide a valuable service to them, definitely. I mean, it's not necessarily painful, but sometimes it can be a bit uncomfortable, me sort of like pulling at their cheek sometimes to get right to the back of the teeth. So enjoy the end result. I think that's what they enjoy.
Teamwork. That's one thing about it I like. I wouldn't like to work on my own.
It's over 100, isn't it?
Well, it used to be more than 200.
We've lost quite a few.
Because we're all getting older now, look.
Early on when you're young, you kind of get too excited and you use up so much energy getting nervous. As you get older, now that I'm older, you just try and stay nice, you try and stay calm.
was very young and first went with the folks, if there was 4 or 5 hooligans, sort of standing in the way, they would be told to move. And God help them if they didn't move. They'd get a bite on the bum, and probably a smack round the ear hole with a cape, from the policeman.
The thing about being in a lab is you're your own boss. You're free to sort of run several things at once, and it's a very social atmosphere in many labs.
Yes,
and ours was a
important.
great place to work. And in some labs you can have music playing, because a lot of what you're doing isn't using your brain at the time.
They use mice, don't they, for things?
What, eyeliner?
It's not nice, really, is it?
What, lipstick on a Yorkshire Terrier?
Oh, no.
I think we should all be in clinical trials. We have a moral obligation. Fortunately, I've never been asked, but I take so many drugs anyhow. I am a clinical trial.
You cannot have an effective working police dog which is non-aggressive. As they get older, all they want to do is be the leader of the pack. It's their instinct. And every now and again, he probably just challenges me for the leadership of the pack. So every now and again we have a little tete-a-tete.
I feel that if I've given my best performance and it's a good one, then obviously I get the reward, the pat on the back, knowing that you've tried to do your best for your coach. They've given you the training, the least you can do.
I do define goals and targets, but then when you get going, it's fun. It's just good fun, really. It doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're just being really silly.
So sorry. My job is, I'm in the entertainment business, so, I'm a singer, actress, whatever. That means I do a lot of traveling. I have to fly to different countries sometimes.
I'm all right walking on the flat and downhill, but I can't go uphill. As soon as I start to go uphill, I get chest pain. It starts to tighten up. But what I do, where I live, there's a downhill slope down to what they call the co-op. I walk down there and come back on the bus.
It can be stressful, yes, as a runner, because you strive to...
When we work in a factory, we are looked after, aren't we? We have the dentist, the chiropodist, chest x-rays, get all our injections done and everything, without even going out of the factory, which is good.
The ideal weather for me is dry, about 65 to 68, I'm perfect. Anything over that or under that, I'm struggling, especially in cold mornings. I shouldn't really go out in cold mornings, I've been told. I shouldn't go out in cold mornings, I shouldn't go out in the wind, and also, I should, just do what I can do. And I'll say some days I can move mountains, the next day I can't do anything.
You start Monday, Tuesday, you do mornings. Wednesday, Thursday, you do afternoons. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you do nights. But I've done this, you don't know if you're coming or going. Every 2 days, you've got to change your sleep pattern. It's awful.
It is very repetitive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very repetitive.
The foreman's always watching you.
But
all
we
the time,
couldn't wander about. We can't wander about. But if we make a mistake, then we will be severely reprimanded.
You hear about chefs being crazy. He was crazy. He would throw knives around. Thankfully, I didn't have a lot of dealings with him because I was, dealing on other sort of areas in the hotel, and I just kept out of his way. My friend got it in the neck.
I like that feeling of accomplishing something, but if I had the choice, I would rather not work and just have a really nice life. Yeah, I think sometimes you feel a bit like you're a slave to someone else, really.
But if you work every day and you're doing something you don't enjoy, then life must be so miserable, and if you're doing something you don't enjoy, I don't know why you don't just give it up and do something you do enjoy, because you may as well enjoy life, because you don't live for very long, so you may as well enjoy what you're doing when you are working. And I really enjoy what I do, and if I ever did something that I didn't enjoy, then I'd give it up immediately and do something that I really did enjoy, because I like to enjoy life,
I
I'm looking for a job of a sort of clerical nature, administrative perhaps, preferably to do with customer relations.
When I retire from racing, I don't even like to think about it. I feel that each day I can run, touch wood with injury-free conditions, then I'll run till I drop. Tactics are very important in a race.
I'm terrified of retirement. Terrified. I really like my work. And I don't want to retire now.
You can't be morbid, or you wouldn't be able to do the work. You've got to have a laugh, and a joke, you have a joke, you know. It's just you or them, isn't it? It is animal instinct there.
I think Feng Shui should be introduced to all office environments.
I'd like to have a go at trying to clean an elephant's tusks.
Can I just tell you something? That's not a human ear on the back of a mouse. That is one of the most grotesque misrepresentations that I know. It's a piece of cartilage shaped like a human ear, put into an epithelial covering. It's not a human ear.
What? Do any of you do any impressions?
I used to do Dame Edna Everage.
No.
I did,
no,
but I haven't done it for about
no.
10 years now. Oh, I don't even know if I could do it now. It would probably sound awful. Can you do one?
Only a few.
Only a few. Oh, only a few.
I can do Kenneth Williams.
Go on then.
No, oh no, stop it.
Impressions are sometimes funny because there's like a caricature, exaggerated movement of ourselves. But it depends who does it, you know, maybe 90% of times it's not good. Like when I do impression of someone, it's really bad. Like doing, you know, David Beckham. It's going on like that, you know, it's a kind of a geezer from downtown, you know, South London, innit?
No, I'm afraid I can't do an impression of Naomi Campbell.
That one? Just like that, just like that. Just like that.
No, I can't do an impression of Kate Moss either, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Doing her just like that, shall we? Just like that. Or just like that, just like that.
What I hate is when people do that bloody taxi driver, Robert De Niro. Talking to me, shut up! You know, it's so overdone, it's unbelievable.
This is Robert De Niro as a New York cop. Give me one donut, 2 coffees. Okay, make that heavy on the mayo. I could do a Scouser.
I think Julia Roberts would be quite an American voice. Holy, how are you today? How are things going? That would be my impression of Julia Roberts.
But I always laugh at the bloody goat. Oh, that sort of thing, yeah. Oh, aye.
Kippers, they're good, and I think they sound like this.
Well, then there's a bloody chicken.
Chicken is one of my best. I don't know why I'm so good at doing it, and I ain't bragging now, but I just am good at doing that chicken noise. And it goes like this.
I don't really do animal sounds like that. I got the wife to do all that, see? Hey?
Come on, have a go. Do a goldfish.
A what?
do one of they, I suppose.
As long as you don't think you're kissing me like that, there's another thing going.
It's just the faces you're making when you
Yeah,
do
but
it.
it's very hard not to make a face when you do the chicken impression.
I do a pig.
Can I pass me a tissue? My nose is curling. Quick.
Flamingo.
A cockatoo.
A cockatoo.
I
A cockatoo
they
or
have
a cockatoo.
Not
a
me.
cockatoo or a cockatiel. What's the difference?
A cockatoo.
It's one's
Animal
a man, one's a woman.
Magic. What was the guy called?
Johnny Morris.
Johnny Morris.
Yeah,
Oh, I used to remember that.
Oh, he was
Johnny
good.
Morris.
So
Well, that was
used
a
to do all
cock-
the impressions.
Was that a cockatoo?
Or cockatiel. I don't know what
Cockatoo
the
or
difference is then.
cockatiel?
Cockatiel.
Cockatoo. It wasn't. It was cockatoo, man. It was a cockatoo. We're going for cockatoo on that one.
Cockatoo.
Yeah, or a I'll- cockatiel. I'll go along that line.
Cockatiel.
Starling.
Oh, well,
Hey.
you never
Oh,
know.
I nearly said a
Distant
starling.
relation. Did you?
No one
Did
likes
you?
starlings.
It's a cousin twice
I
more
don't like
nice.
starlings. Nobody likes them.
Do cuckoo. 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 I do one of them. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. Can you do a cuckoo? Cuckoo. Cuckoo. I never really tried animal sounds, have you? Cuckoo. Cuckoo.
Why do people do impressions? Well, perhaps some people got a gift for doing Gift it, for and doing they it. They see. They find it strange to yes. do an impression of somebody so And I think that they can copy it so public well. think it funny is funny, isn't Yeah. it? That's why.
I think I used to be able to
Yeah, because I mean,
like impersonate people, and I'm just trying to think who the hell it was because I can't remember.
try doing that now. As long as it ain't too long. That's not bad actually, that's not bad. But owls don't do that.
Yeah, you go, Yes. doesn't he? Yeah. And then you think, well, what's We've got a- somebody's trying to send me a signal or something. It's not a very- because everything is quiet and I hear that. I like the sound of that. The one you were listening to in Comdare was cuckoosh to No, that's cuckoosh not to the Comdare. pigeon. Yeah, over here.
Oh, Frank Spencer.
Biddy, I'm having trouble. The cat's just done whoops is in my beret.
Yeah. Can all do Frank Spencer.
Oh, I can do Victor Meldrew as well.
Go on then.
But I haven't done him for a long while.
Go on.
I don't believe it. What the bloody hell do you think this is? God's sake, I don't bloody believe it.
That sounds like a sexual Victor Meldrew.
Well, he is, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
I don't believe it.
The neighbour's going to say them poor things have gone. They've gone round the
It's a
bend.
good thing
There'll be an ambulance arriving. So
It's
taking us away.
His impressions are sometimes quite cruel, don't like him. Ah, yeah! It's being stupid now. That won't be used on the thing, will it?
The stigmas in most species of Nymphaceae, the stigma, which is the female organ, actually gets warm by 3 to 6 degrees centigrade and emits a smell, a pheromone. And the pheromone attracts the insects. And the insects shush what?
The phone.
But the phone's interrupting me, not me the phone.
Yes, but
Do you want me to stop?
I heard through the body odor from others we realize if we are genetically matching or not. And unfortunately, the way nature works is the odor rather than perfume, you know. So the way it is, I'm sorry, I can't change it. So I smell, and I like to smell people as well. If I smell you in the street, don't be offended.
I went to an animal rescue charity in a very deprived part of northwest London. And I took one look at her, and something happened. It was one look, absolutely one look.
I didn't really like him actually, to be honest, at the beginning, because I thought it was a bit of a sort of know-it-all.
Oh yeah.
But the way he ate a sandwich, that was it really, and you could see his stomach. So yeah, that's why I quite liked him first of all.
You've got to be confident and optimistic. If you're pessimistic and always on the back foot, I don't think you get anywhere. So, you know, a bit of the old cockiness, you know, I think they all like a bit of that.
I am sexy all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Well, which part of you?
Oh, all of
exactly?
me, of course. You know, that's... So I feel like that when I get out in the mornings, you know, I feel very sexy. Most of the times you're not there, but there you are. That, you know, can't help that, can you? But do you feel sexy?
No, not particularly.
Well, it is early, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Of course I'm sexy. I can use my voice. I can tell you I love you. I can whisper this on your ear 100 million times and you will scream for more, more and more. I have a great smile, which you will never find anywhere else in this world.
It sounds corny now, but he used to always get the same chat line I say. You know what it is? You know the best part of your body? It's a bit in between the top of your head and the bottom of your feet. All of you. I say, you're lovely. I said, I've seen some lovely lasses in my time, but I said, but you must have been right ahead of the queue in the audition with the good looks. But when I was saying all these things, I had my fingers crossed.
Biggest turn on for me. Lovely bottoms. They must have a nice bottom. I don't know what it is. Not too bothered about the front bit, but the bottom bit I do quite like.
I'd never worried about size or shape. I've lived with mongrels for half my life. And suddenly here was I, head over heels, in love, or what?
It's lovely being in love. It makes you all twinkly and it makes you all happy, and sometimes I can't think straight, do you know what I mean? Because I'm thinking of him.
If you're looking for a disco dancing spring rabbit, then you would find me a bit boring. But if you are the kind of person who likes to sit around and moan a lot, then you could say I'm a very good companion.
No, actually, he's not too bad. He's not that unsavoury a person. I think he's all right.
Thank you.
I'm really intolerant.
I'm not that unsavoury a person.
The thing is with you, your mother did everything for you. And then when you come up to me, you're ruddy bloody useless.
Obey, that's what the vicar
No,
said.
I didn't. When we got married, I did not obey.
Obey.
No, I didn't obey.
Obey.
No.
I have lots of trapped air that has to get out somehow. And that's really bad when you're sleeping with someone. And methane gas is lighter than air, so you end up on the ceiling. And so that's why I choose not to sleep with anybody, and that's why I don't have a partner for a long time. It's all not my fault, it's the methane gas fault.
I've got about, wait, let me count. 19 boys fancy me, but I don't fancy them. I actually fancy Roo and he fancies me because you're pretty, that's why. I'm really gonna get in for that.
I used to be very romantic when I was younger. I think everybody who's younger It's very romantic, you know. Fall in love, thinking about the partner, doing different things to them in your head.
Romantic? No, not really.
Yeah, you
No,
are.
I'm not. Don't
You
be nonsense.
are. Really, really,
Nonsense. No, I don't think so.
I think you are. You're very thoughtful. You are.
You never said that before.
Oh, I'm not on tape then, am
Yeah, no, I'm a little bit romantic. I like to
Romanticise?
lavish gifts upon my my wife, and and I do like to treat her to things that I know that she likes.
Trip down Tesco's.
Trip down Tesco's.
Yeah.
She loves all that stuff.
What about me?
Are you romantic?
You tell me.
No, you're not.
Aren't I?
No.
I am.
No, you're not.
You're just saying it now.
No, you're not. No.
I am actually.
I do believe in love at first sight, but I'm not saying it does anyone any good. What happens after that? That's as much as I'm saying.
There you go. We've got 3, you see, but there's one I can never remember her name. She does a lot of riding. I'm trying to think of her flipping name now. What's she called? Well, let's just call her Rosie for today. Yeah, Rosie. Good old Rosie.
I've pulled a muscle.
I think that the first
egg came first.
I think
to give birth, so the chicken could come out, and then the chicken can have
But
more
where
eggs.
would the egg come from?
Oh yeah, but if you think about it, an egg is going to become a chicken, but it's being but then the chicken's going to be would be an egg. So if you think about chickens after the eggs, I think egg comes.
Yeah, but maybe the chicken might have come from another animal, like a rooster. It's
There's sterile waters somewhere, and the volcanic chemicals and all that have started life, and then we've evolved from that. What I do find hard is the fact that we've actually evolved from something so minuscule, like so microscopic, to the dinosaurs, to us.
I think that we come from some kind of chemical explosion that caused some form of life to be created, and that we eventually slithered out of the sea, and it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but eventually we're going to be extinct.
I think we are a process of evolution. I think we are not the top of the pinnacle. We are just a branch, I think.
Yeah, I'm completely conscious of the fact that I'm actually just a cloud of potential, of which primarily water molecules. If you looked at me across time, you would see a cloud of water molecules form and momentarily become Brian and then move off again.
I can't bring myself around to thinking we came from the sea.
No, I don't think great-great-granddad was a fish.
Slimy then, wouldn't
Yeah, I'm sure that we came from the sea, most definitely, because it just seems, you know, when I get into water, I naturally want to start frolicking, and I think that must mean that, you know, so we came out of the sea and crawled onto land for some reason. I don't know why, and it's a shame. I think it'd be great if we all went back to being aquatic.
I don't know. I think we're more likely to have originated from on land, because we haven't got, like, you know, we've got gills, haven't we? But maybe, you know.
Well, they're always looking for this missing link, aren't they? And they've never found it yet. The connection between us and monkeys. I mean, what sort of idiot wants to prove he's come from a monkey?
The difference between me and a monkey would be mainly that monkeys, they live in the jungle and I live in Catford.
There's a train of thought that says that we came to this planet thousands, hundreds, millions, whatever, years ago, and in fact already did colonise this planet as an alien race.
I do incline to think maybe we did start from another planet, maybe we did come from another planet.
You know, I'd love to see aliens or something similar on our planet. I think it'd be great to see how we kind of interact with them, whether they'd be similar to us or not very similar or something like that.
Would they be good golfers?
Humans were created by this giant cosmic cow licking a stone, and as it licked this stone, the humans rolled off.
Looking at birds evolved from dinosaurs. Yeah, probably could have done, because they did actually have wings, didn't they? Some dinosaurs years and years ago, didn't they? So, though it's the size of the dinosaur, and how do you get something like a sparrow or a little wren or something like that from something that's absolutely ginormous, this huge, great sort of dinosaur?
I don't know really. I haven't ever really given it much thought.
Yeah, where'd you get these questions from?
Well, your evolution, that's all a load of rubbish, isn't it? It's not true, is it? It's a load of rubbish. How can you possibly evolve a set of wings? It's not going to happen, is it? I mean, I'd like a set of wings. I'd love a set of wings. In fact, if I could have anything, I'd definitely have a set of wings, but it wouldn't matter how many times I jumped off a tall building, I'd never grow wings. And even if I jumped off a tall building and then my child jumped off a tall building and his child jumped off a tall building and we did that forever and ever and ever, there is not the slightest chance that wings would grow out of my back.
We all started off much the same kind of thing. We all were waddling along on our bellies to begin with. Then we grew arms and heads and legs, and some of us got up and walked, and some of us stayed down crawling around. I'm glad I've evolved the way I am. I wouldn't like to have been further back in the evolutionary scale.
I think we've evolved to our full potential. I think we have.
Possibly.
It's hard to...
Maybe not on an intellectual basis, because
I don't know, it's hard
to
see how you can improve further, isn't it?
We'd be able to do some good tricks if we had a couple more legs. I'm sure we'd be able to work out some new stunts for the show, so that could be a positive advantage, definitely at this stage.
Depends whose legs they were, doesn't it, right?
Obviously we'd adapt in whatever way if we had extra legs, but...
We were, wouldn't it? If you had 6 legs, where would your arse be?
Yeah.
I don't know whether physiologically we're developing.
The only thing I can think of is that because we have such stressed lives, we're much more aware of exercising to release the stress, and so we're getting more toned bodies than we might have had.
I've got as far as I'd like to evolve as I am at the moment.
I'm searching, you know what I mean?
Aren't we all?
Maybe one day I'll just wake up and think, I have evolved.
One day we think you got there, the next minute you get run over.
That's it, game over. You know what I mean?
I regard myself as a kind of ego-driven space-time meat vehicle, and I'm in the centre as the driver, trapped inside the folly of the monkey ego. But I accept that's limitations, but I know that the truth is that it's actually just a space-time version of a larger hyperdimensional information field.
Oh, jeez.
I just think, at the end of the day, it's about genetic transport. Basically, we're just hauling genomes along in a bag, which is our body, from century to century. I think that's what it's all about, folks, you know?
It's noticeable we don't get
cold winters anymore. They're just wet. So we might survive another one.
I'd like to be a bird.
I don't know, something like an Andean condor. Lots of space, sort of.
Big birds of prey, something like that.
Soaring above the mountains and just looking down and looking for your dinner.
Nice big albatross.
No more like being reincarnated as a sparrow.
And birds go. There we go.
I like to put food out for them,
Bread or
especially in the
nuts.
winter, because you see them in the trees and they're sort of looking a bit nonplussed, aren't they? But I put one of those peanut things out recently, thinking I was doing them a good turn, and it was like 10 weeks later, there was no visible sign of any nut disappearing, and I thought, well, what's this all about? I don't know.
How'd you open the bag?
Well, you don't open the bag, do you? They're supposed to go through the bag, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't think bland comes into our eating. We're definitely, what would you say, gourmets or gourmands, whichever word it is. We like to indulge and enjoy the food, really.
And I think probably there's a good variety in what we eat. Thai, Indian, Chinese, French, Italian.
Yeah, whatever.
Traditional British.
As long as it tastes good, I'll eat it, really.
And the best of all, of course, is duck.
The only thing you can do is not to make eye contact, of course. As soon as you make eye contact, it just has you. I think it's because you're easy prey. You're a nice little bit of meat here. Nice and small, I could soon whip him round. Perhaps that's what they do. Think, oh, he's quite vulnerable, I'll have this one.
When you're up a tree, you're head and shoulders above all the buildings. You can see the contours of the land. There's something immensely liberating about that. And it's real freedom to be out there in the wind.
How do birds stay up in the air? It's all to do with aerodynamics, and that's far too complicated for me to go into now.
Some things aren't worth thinking about, are they like that?
Not all birds stay up in the air, do they?
No, they don't.
If you dropped an emu out of an aircraft, it wouldn't stay in the air, would it?
No.
The first time I flew myself, I was scared silly. But quickly started to enjoy it. It's not short of hard work. Every single day. Something new, something different, got to keep learning.
Birds stay in the air through magic. And there's all these scientists and naturalists who think they've got it sus, but it's all magic.
You think it's sort of Peter Pan, do you, Ian? Sort of they have a happy thought. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, birds are happy, and that's why they can fly.
It's brilliant. When you're flying down the M6, you can see truckers flash their lights and they see you. It's great. There's no better feeling, I think. It's really free. It's good.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling. Yeah. You gotta limber up, you gotta loosen up. You gotta get all that. You know what I mean? You gotta warm it up before you let rip.
Yes, I've never flown. Except I have jumped. I'm very brave at some things.
I don't like to take off, I like to land.
Me personally, I do like taking off, the pull of it, right? When you actually take off, yeah, I do enjoy that sort of thing.
Taking off the surge, the acceleration, the noise, the shaking, and then, once you're airborne and everything's stabilised, perfectly all right. And obviously turbulence isn't much fun, but it's not usually anything to worry about. I've never flown in really bad weather or had a bad experience. If you've got that flying bug, then I don't think you really lose that.
It doesn't matter how many times you take off into a dawn or landing at sunset.
Yeah.
It's just a special thing.
I've got the best sense of direction. Anna's got no sense of direction. None at all, have you, Anne?
No, definitely not. No, I haven't got a clue on direction, how to get there, how to get back now. No, I haven't got a clue.
I could probably lose her around the block. She wouldn't be able to get back. Definitely not.
Oh, well, would we say we've got a good sense of direction? I mean, we're blokes, aren't we? I mean, of course, we don't have to stop and ask for directions, ever. I mean, you never get lost, do you, blokey?
I've never been lost at all in my life. I've been temporarily misplaced from time to time, but never actually lost, so I'd say I've got a pretty good sense of direction as well.
Without landmarks, I'm lost. Without landmarks, I really am useless. And you take a right, and it's down there.
Myself personally, I don't like flying because I don't like heights. But we've never actually ever been on what I'd call a long flight now. It's been 4 hours at the most, isn't it? Yeah. How I'd fare on a 7 or 11 hour flight, I just do not know. No, I don't think I'd handle it very well at all, to be honest with you.
Pigeons are vermin, man.
Skyrats, what I call pigeons.
You know what I mean? What we need is a few more peregrine falcons around London.
Sparrowhawks.
Sort them out, you know what I mean?
But it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, the areas we can go to. And yeah, it would be great just to be able to rort down London's high street, you know. Woohoo, check me out, everybody. I'm coming past your window. Oh, you know, that would be cool.
It's not the fear of flying, it's the fear of crashing. Well, people say they're frightened of flying, but they're not really. They just feel frightened of dying.
Funnily enough, I've only actually been flying about 4 times in my life. The last time I went to Italy in May, and that I found fine. I got over it, and I realised it was an irrational fear. But before that, it really was like a white-knuckle ride. To be honest with you, I do have quite a few fears and phobias. I don't like heights either. But flying was a bad one for me for a while, but I'm fine with it now.
I don't think I've got a fear of heights, maybe a fear of falling from a great height, but no, those being up on a high place doesn't give me the shivers. Other things do, but not heights.
Yeah, I've not got a problem with heights at all.
I actually fell through a couple of skylights on roofs, one at Bath Road at Brislington. I actually fell through the skylight and dropped through into the kitchen area. They weren't very happy though, not for the fact that I cut all my legs, it was for the fact that I had ruined all the dinner.
He'd had a bad accident about 2 years ago. Flying one, sort of crashed into the ground, didn't you?
Yeah. It was quite a turbulent day, and I started spinning, and I saw the ground coming up. I was going to crash near people, and broke my pelvis off.
Nasty.
The pelvis broke off, and it came up and it hit the first 3 ribs.
Did the ribs break as well?
Yeah.
They did. The pelvis broke the ribs?
Yeah.
Oh. Oof. Lucky you didn't hit your head though.
Yeah. Actually, I find that one of the most relaxing sounds there is, birds singing.
Yeah, lovely.